सादा खाजा पीर फरीदन सई साडे माल ते धन दी पारत हई सारे पाकिस्तान दी खैर होवे
As dawn breaks over this sleepy, dusty town of central Pakistan called Kot Mittan, its over 35,000 inhabitants and their livestock team up in struggle against harsh realities of life in the arid and desert-like climate. Yet a sense of calm prevails over the early morning rush in its narrow bazaars. Uniquely, the city's zero point is no governmental secretariat but an ornate shrine of a 19th century saint named Khwaja Ghulam Farid. Each year, hundreds of thousands of religious tourists from the subcontinent swarm this windswept town. Though an ethnic Arab, Khwaja Ghulam Farid dedicated his poetry to the culture of this desert region where he has been touching hearts and minds for over 2 centuries now. Dr. Shehzad Kaisar, who earned a doctorate for his work on life and poetry of Khwaja Ghulam Farid, terms him a living saint for his work integrating God, man and the universe.
Khwaja Ghulam Farid comes almost at the end of that Sufi line. In Punjab, it started from Baba Fariduddin Masood Ganshakar. He has a rich repository of intellectual and spiritual experience with him. And this is the reason that as a poet, he has brought in the most difficult metaphysical subjects and expressed them so easily. And he brings with him an intellectual and spiritual heritage. And he knits it with his local area, local language, local art, local culture.
Khwaja Farid's poetry in Saraiki and Urdu languages has become his signature work amongst folk singers, while his books in Persian prose stretch his influence to Iran and Central Asia. Besides scores others, Mian Ehsan Farid is a devout qawwal at the shrine. His forefathers embraced Islam on the hand of Khwaja Ghulam Farid 150 years ago. Today, their fourth generation continues to recite his poetry here. Khwaja Ghulam Farid's poetry has taught me love of God and His Prophet, peace be upon him. He gives a message of love and unity and forbids hurting anyone.
ਸਾਡਾ ਖਾਜਾ ਪੀਰ ਫਰੀਦਣ ਸਈ ਸਾਡੇ ਮਾਲ ਤੇ ਧਨ ਦੀ ਪਾਰਤ ਹਈ ਸਾਰੇ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਦੀ ਖੈਰ ਹੋਵੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਇੱਕ ਇੱਕ ਵਣ ਦੀ ਭਾਰਤ ਹੈ
Ataullah Faridi is another typical devotee who believes that Khwaja Ghulam Farid assigned him in a dream to sell caps at the shrine 20 years ago, and his grievances will be addressed automatically. To date, he has been distributing prayer caps amongst pilgrims. While his poetry continues to act as an emotional healer in times of despair and helplessness, Khwaja Farid's message of self-respect and freedom also inspired many during the British colonial time. Raouz Zulfikar Ali, a local photographer, narrates a verse of Khwaja Ghulam Farid which gives message of love and unity, but at the same time calls upon the people to shun external colonial forces and depend on their own selves. Mazhar Hussain, a social science researcher from Rajanpur district, believes that people of the region visit Shrine with many problems. Mazhar Hussain says they go there with many issues such as financial difficulties and mental stress. They carry out catharsis there and seek positive energy to deal with these challenges. When their prayers are rewarded by the Almighty, these people return to shrines again for thanksgiving in their own traditional way. It was not the people but the saint himself who extended his hand of love and friendship first.
And one of his greatest merit is that his interaction with the common man. The Sufis in principle have always loved common man. But Khwaja Ghulam Farid is unique. He has travelled in these barren deserts for years and years. And he has felt very comfortable loving those people.
Yet the saint's legacy is threatened on multiple counts. The most deep-rooted threat comes from the government's Department of Awqaf, mandated by a 1960 ordinance to keep administrative and financial control of shrines and other holy sites. Despite possessing Khwaja Farid's shrine's 1,600-acre land and cash donations worth millions, the structure of the building is in an appalling condition, with little attention to saving the heritage and meeting the needs of increasing number of followers.
As you can see on my back, there are these boxes lying. People donate in these boxes. This is a trend here. And all the money which comes out of these boxes goes to the department.
The official of the Awqaf department disagrees. Last year, the shrine had an income of rupees 10.3 million, while rupees 5.6 million were spent back on expenses like salaries, provision of food, goods, and security. Neither the family of the saint nor the followers seem satisfied with the situation.
This premises is about 150 years old, and it got a lot of heritage behind it. This needs an immediate attention in terms of renovation and expansion. The demands of this building, they are overwhelming from the size. The shrine itself has an enormous amount of income, but the Waqf department, which holds all the income, spends a very petty amount of it, not even 1%.
Khwaja Muinuddin Mehboob Qureja, spiritual heir to Khwaja Ghulam Farid and custodian of his shrine, believes the saint's grave should not be seen as a revenue-generating institution by the government of Punjab.
महकमा औकाफ इस वक्त इस दरबार से 11 करोड़
Khwaja Muinuddin Qureja says the Awqaf department in fact is earning an annual income of 110.4 million from the agricultural land, commercial property and donations from cash boxes installed at the shrine. The salaries of Awqaf employees are neither serving development of the shrine nor facilitating the pilgrims. The Awqaf department was created to serve and improve the condition of the shrine, but that's not happening. Since mega floods of 2010, the Awqaf library remains devoid of books and readers alike. Yet, a library official regularly receives his monthly salary. One section has become living room for the government-appointed prayer leader, while Mumtaz Ahmed refers to the other as his retiring room. Regardless of the situation, the family and devotees have teamed up to maintain a robust library and museum nearby under the auspices of Khwaja Ghulam Farid Foundation. Muhammad Shafiq Sangi, a young devotee, is the caretaker of this library cum museum. Shafiq Sangi says, the Khwaja Farid Library has 1500 handwritten manuscripts, 5000 published books and invaluable personal belongings of the saint such as dresses, caps and shoes. In recent years, these meek and friendly religio-political spaces have become vulnerable to threat of extremism. From the north to the south of Pakistan, terrorists have been violently targeting Sufi shrines with impunity. After dozens lost their lives, once the open doors of shrines have now security cameras and scanners installed. This phenomenon did not unfold in vacuum.
During the Soviet invasion of 10 years, all kinds of religious elements sort of flocked into Pakistan. But after the demise of Soviet Union and the common enemy was gone, now since the common enemy was gone, the internal contradictions surfaced within the groups who were all together united against the Soviet Union. Initial condition was we were living together in harmony. There was hardly any kind of a conflict which you can record in history or from the archive you can take it out and you can show that there was ever a conflict between the Shias and the Sunnis. And therefore, those who believes in shrine and who goes to the shrine, this had been our cultural practice. A small group of people started attacking them.
Khwaja Ghulam Farid Shrine has been spared so far, but an uneasiness prevails in the air when its vulnerability is brought to the discussion table. Muinuddin Qureja says the biggest challenge facing this shrine is security threat. The mausoleum has been sealed quite a few times by Rajanpur district administration on tip-offs. We are surrounded by sanctuaries of religious extremists which are opposed to these shrines. The district administration stops short of admitting terror threat to the shrine.
There is no threat for this area, for shrine. Despite this fact, we have arranged security for the shrine, and sometime when we feel that around the area there is some incident of sabotage, we make extraordinary arrangements.
Within a radius of 100 kilometers of the shrine are located strongholds of hardline elements with close links to the Taliban or the like-minded. Nonetheless, the grandchildren of the saint are not deterred by the militant tendencies of the haters. Khwaja Ghulam Farid Foundation has been working actively to improve standard of living of the poor. Tufail Ahmed, a villager, says, Khwaja Farid Foundation has given me this solar panel after 2010 floods, which generates electricity for our tube lights, fans and water pump. In collaboration with another NGO, this foundation provided each of us with Rs 50,000 loan on zero interest, which helped me repair this house. In sync with the needs of the day, the foundation carefully chooses its areas of intervention and partner organizations. Khwaja Kalimuddin Qureja says, in Rajanpur district, we have 10,000 beneficiaries of our work in microfinance, 3,000 in solar energy, and then we have a project of biogas as well. Over 500 families are now dependent on biogas in Kot Mittan. Given the magnitude of poverty and growing fear of extremism in the region, civil society's work here symbolizes a drop in the ocean. To eradicate poverty in this region, there is a dire need to educate and equip these people with vocational training. We are located in the country's poorest region, where, due to lack of livelihood, extremists can easily hire youth for their nefarious designs. Luckily, academia is not indifferent to the challenges of economic deprivation and social divide in South Punjab.
The university must interact with the shrines. This is something very, very important. And we must understand their ethos. Out there kind of a concept has got to be understood. We have a huge plan to start interacting with with the shrines and with the madrasas, so that we can go and talk to them, train them, bring them to our university, and likewise train our teachers to go and interact with them.
Like this university, the civil society has been struggling to create space for its initiatives. Peace and Education Foundation, an Islamabad-based NGO, has been reaching out to the religious institutions across Pakistan.
We try to raise awareness about different aspects of Islam. So we are not exclusive to promoting Sufism, but any religious identity that is threatened, we try to bring that and highlight them. So there are many areas where Sufi sheikhs and shrines can improve their operations and management. Capacity building of their managers, understanding how to serve their followers in a more modern times, and providing more than food, but also creating employment opportunities, developing vocational centers, developing microcredit loans.
While many shrines located in rich urban neighborhoods continue to be run in centuries-old fashion, the custodian of this shrine in Kot Mithan thinks and acts progressively. We are hoping and planning for Khwaja Farid complex comprising a library, museum, pilgrims hostel, and a vocational institute for females. So far, the government and foreign donors have paid enough lip service to the importance of Sufi shrines for reviving tolerance and peaceful coexistence in Pakistan. Now is the time to take the much needed steps of preserving and strengthening these institutions.